The sand beneath your feet is not yellow. It is dark, wet, and it has been replaced 3 times already today. You do not look up at the crowd. You have learned not to. 50,000 mouths screaming your name feels the same as 50,000 mouths screaming for your death. And today, you are no longer sure which one they want. You have survived this place before, 11 times, but you already know that means nothing. History taught you the Colosseum was entertainment, and it was. But it was something else first. It was a political instrument, a weapon of mass distraction wrapped in marble and blood. The Flavian Amphitheater, its real name, was completed in 80 AD under Emperor Titus. It could hold between 50 and 80,000 spectators, depending on the source. The seating was not random. Senators at the front, ordinary citizens in the middle, women and slaves at the very top, squinting through the heat and the dust to see figures the size of ants killing each other below. The Romans had a phrase for it: panem et circenses, bread and circuses. Keep the poor fed, keep them entertained, keep them docile. The poet Juvenal wrote it as a criticism that the Roman people had traded their political voice for free grain and spectacle. He was right, and no one cared. The inaugural games under Titus lasted 100 days. Over 9,000 animals were killed during that opening celebration alone. Human deaths during this period are harder to quantify. Roman record-keeping tracked animals and costs more reliably than gladiator deaths. These were not accidents of administration, they were entries in a ledger. But here is what the history books usually skip past. The men who fought here were not always unwilling. This is the part that disturbs people. The word gladiator comes from gladius, the Roman short sword. They were named after their weapon, not their origin, not their name, their weapon. Many were slaves, yes, captured soldiers, criminals sentenced to the arena, prisoners of war dragged in from the edges of a collapsing empire. But by the height of the Roman games, roughly the 1st and 2nd century AD, a significant portion of gladiators were volunteers, free men, Roman citizens, men who had looked at their lives, the poverty, the debt, the invisibility, and made a calculation. Better to die as someone than live as no one. Gladiators were trained in schools called ludi. The largest and most infamous was the Ludus Magnus, built directly adjacent to the Colosseum itself, connected by an underground tunnel, so fighters could be moved without ever seeing daylight. Inside they ate well, exceptionally well by Roman standards. They consumed a high-carbohydrate diet, barley, beans, ash supplements for bone density. They were sometimes called hordearii, barley men. We know this not from Roman records alone. In 1993, archaeologists excavated a gladiator cemetery in Ephesus, Turkey. 67 individuals. Forensic analysis of the bones confirmed the diet, confirmed the healed wounds, confirmed that medical care was routinely provided. One skeleton showed signs of a lion bite, then surgical treatment, then continued life. These were not disposable men. They had doctors, surgeons. The physician Galen, one of the most important medical minds of the ancient world, cut his teeth working on gladiators in Pergamon. He learned human anatomy through their wounds. Their injuries were his classroom. Their survival was his reputation. When a free man chose to become a gladiator, he signed something called the Auctoramentum, the gladiatorial contract. He agreed, in writing, to endure being burned, bound, beaten, and killed with iron. The exact Latin phrase was uri, vincere, verberare, feroce necari. This was not vague, it was specific, deliberate, a legal document that transferred ownership of his body to his trainer, his lanista, for the duration of the contract. He also received payment, a signing bonus, a salary, insurance of a kind. His family would be compensated if he died. And in exchange, he gave up his legal status as a free citizen. Gladiators were classified the same as prostitutes and actors in Roman law. Infames, people of no social honor. He traded his dignity for survival, and then spent every fight trying to earn it back. Because here is what most people do not understand about gladiatorial combat. Most fights did not end in death. The popular image, every fight to the last breath, was largely myth, or at least greatly exaggerated. A dead gladiator was an expensive gladiator, months of training, medical costs, food, housing. A lanista did not let his investment bleed out in the sand unless the crowd demanded it, and the editor, the sponsor of the games, approved. The gesture you know, thumb up or thumb down, is itself partly misunderstood. Historians still debate the exact meaning. Some argue the extended thumb in any direction meant death. Others say the crowd would cry, "Mitimas," release him, or press their thumbs into their fists as a signal to sheathe the sword. The dramatic Hollywood thumb down may not have existed at all. What is certain, the crowd had power, real power. They could save a man's life by screaming loud enough, and sometimes they chose not to. But here is where the story gets darker. Not in the arena, beneath it. The Colosseum had a basement, an elaborate subterranean network of tunnels, cages, and hydraulic lifts called the Hypogeum. It was built under Domitian, the emperor who succeeded Titus. And from this underground labyrinth, men and animals were lifted directly into the arena through trapdoors, appearing in a cloud of dust and terror as if conjured from the earth itself. Down there, in the dark, men waited, sometimes for hours, listening to the sounds above, the roar, the impact, the silence that meant someone had fallen, knowing they were next, unable to see, unable to prepare. It was psychological warfare before the fight had even begun. And there was another class of men down there that history almost entirely ignores. The damnati ad bestias, condemned to the beasts. These were not gladiators. They had no training, no armor, no contract. They were criminals, prisoners of war, and, in the early empire, Christians and religious minorities thrown into the arena unarmed to be killed by lions, leopards, bears, or rhinoceroses. This was not entertainment in the way the gladiatorial bouts were. This was public execution. And it happened at midday, between the morning animal hunts and the afternoon gladiatorial matches, while much of the crowd went for lunch. The Romans considered it so unremarkable that they did not bother staying to watch. There is a theory, one that some historians take seriously, though it remains debated, that the Roman state used the arena not just for punishment, but as a deliberate instrument to silence dissent, that emperors and governors identified communities that threatened imperial order, religious minorities, political enemies, and fed them systematically into the machine. Not by accident, not by chaos, by design. Ancient writers like Tertullian documented the execution of believers in Roman arenas. The pattern across decades is consistent enough that some scholars no longer call it coincidence. Whether this was coordinated state policy or opportunistic persecution carried out arena by arena, province by province, historians have not agreed. Perhaps they never will. But the sand absorbed all of them equally, the guilty, the innocent, the inconvenient. A gladiator who survived long enough, who fought well enough, consistently enough, could be awarded the rudes, a wooden sword, the symbol of freedom. His contract ended, his life returned to him. Most took it, but a documented number did not. Some gladiators, upon receiving the rudes, signed new contracts voluntarily, returning to the arena not because they were forced, but because outside it they were nothing. No rank, no fame, no identity. The arena had given them the only thing they had ever been given, a name that people remembered. Flamma was one, a Syrian gladiator who fought in the 2nd century AD. He was offered the wooden sword 4 times. He refused it 4 times. He died at 30, having survived 34 fights. His gravestone, which still exists, discovered in Sicily, was paid for by a fellow gladiator named Delicatus, described simply as his comrade. It lists his record with quiet pride. 34 fights, 21 wins, 9 draws, 4 losses. These were men with relationships, loyalties, grief. He was free every time he refused to be. The Colosseum hosted its last gladiatorial contest somewhere around 435 AD. The exact date is uncertain. There was no announcement, no ceremony. The games simply stopped. The Western Roman Empire was fracturing. The money was gone. The crowds had thinned. Christianity had become the state religion, and the Church had long condemned the spectacle, though it took centuries for that condemnation to have any effect. The building itself was repurposed. A church was built inside it. Later, the stone was stripped to build palaces and St. Peter's Basilica. What stands today is perhaps a third of the original structure. And in the basement, in the hypogeum, the walls still hold the marks of the cages, iron rings still embedded in stone, grooves in the floor from the lift mechanisms, the architecture of terror preserved perfectly, while almost everything that happened above it was slowly forgotten. You leave the arena the same way you entered it, through a gate called the Porta Sena Vivaria, the gate of the living, if they let you. The other gate on the opposite side of the arena was the Porta Libitinensis, named for Libitina, the goddess of death. The bodies left through there. 50,000 people screamed in that building, laughed, ate, threw flowers at their favorites, went home to their families, and slept soundly. And the men who fought were carried out through a door named after death, or they walked out through a door named after life. And either way, tomorrow, the sand would be replaced, and no one would remember which it was. except perhaps one man, with a gravestone paid for by his friend. 34 fights, 4 refusals of freedom, 30 years of choosing the only life that had ever chosen him back. History remembers the empire. It rarely remembers the men who bled to keep it entertained. But the sand remembers. The sand always does.